Hello, it's me, John, of the Brunners UK YouTube channel, and I'm here to talk a little bit about, even though we have spoken about this in live streams, but I wanted to do it in a video format and a little bit more in depth, genuinely of where my head's at when it comes to MLP G5, Make Your Mark. So let's get into this and let's discuss. So, My Little Pony, Make Your Mark, or G5 if you will, it's been going on now for at least a good year. It will be at least a 2-year run, all in all, I would have thought, because I do know Tell Your Tale is due to continue to 2024. However, I'm not really going to talk too much about Tell Your Tale because it is kind of its separate thing. So I'm going to kind of do a separate video for Tell Your Tale. This video is more or less just dedicated to the main core canon story, which is Make Your Mark. So we got the movie. We got the announcement that we were going to get a G5 movie, and I was excited, I was optimistic, so was my fellow co-host Sam and our mutual friend and Brony UK member Lawrence. We were equally between us all quite intrigued and also quite optimistic about what this next generation would entail. So we finally get the movie. It finally goes up on Netflix and we watch it, and we are quite pleasantly surprised by it. I probably watched that film probably about 6 times since it came out on Netflix. I actually really do like it. The songs are great. It's got good energy. The characters in the movie are pretty well done. The vocal performances or the voice acting performances are great as well. The world and everything, you're introduced to this whole new part of Equestria. All this, Maritime Bay. You're introduced to this new little seaside town. Introduced to these brand new characters we've never seen before. They are brand new, original ones, and yet it is still canon to Friendship is Magic, as we find out. However, there's been some time since, Twilight and her friends. There has been some quite significant jump in time by the looks of it. So yeah, we are quite pleasantly surprised by the movie. We get the movie and then we move swiftly on, and we are then welcomed to the fact that there was going to be a special, a 45-minute special that would link the movie to the start of the series, and then we seen the drastic drop in quality of the animation. I understand with the animation side of things, it was a different animation studio that actually does the specials, and then there's Boulder Media, which is the main studio, I believe, that does the actual main canon stuff, the main stuff. So we get that beautiful Pixar-like quality animation and pretty decent story all around, in my opinion, with the movie. And then we get the OVA, and it's like a drastic change. And then me and my friend Sam, my fellow co-host on here, we just kind of it was an okay kind of it was an okay kind of special to a degree. It served its purpose to a point, but it was just a drastic drop in quality of animation, and it kind of took us out of it a bit. There was just dead eyes, expressionless, absolutely expressionless with the facial features. And then, so that kind of put a bit of fear of dread in us of what is to come for the main story and the main series when it properly starts. So, as it does, the main story, or chapter 1, comes along, and the animation is actually a hell of a lot better, because again, it's the same studio, I believe, that actually was part of it was the main studio that did the movie, that was doing the main series. It was no longer the people that behind the specials, and dramatically the animation is a lot better. However, there was still some problems. I found, it could just be me, but I found like almost like oversaturation in certain characters. Like there's very, very vibrant colours. Obviously, as we know from My Little Pony with Friendship is Magic, there is a lot of characters that are very, very bright with their colour palette. And Make Your Mark is no exception to that. There is a lot of very bright coloured ponies within Maytime Bay, and so on and so forth. But then when we are finally kind of for the first time properly see Overleen for the first time, I just generally thought that, you know, properly, because obviously she gets kind of, at the end of the movie is when she's kind of introduced as a bad guy. But then obviously in the special we actually see her properly, but of course that's a different animation style, a different studio doing that. But then even when chapter 1 comes along, I still felt there was issues with, like, it's almost as if they kind of like went over saturate, you know, when you get like a saturation setting when it comes to like pictures, when you take a photograph and you've got saturation settings, and same with like webcams and things. I generally feel it's almost as if either unfinished, slightly, there was just no highlight to her as much. There was no defining features to her. She was just literally just one colour, which was that real dark, like burgundy kind of colour, that her colour scheme, really dark kind of colour. And then, but yet there was very little highlights to kind of like, when it comes to a colour palette, you know, when it comes to skin tones and everything, there is more than just one colour that goes into it. There's usually something that there might be like a slight blemish, or something on the body that kind of like helps to kind of break things up a little bit, so it's not just one colour. And I felt that that wasn't the case when chapter 1 first started with Overleen. I generally felt it's like oversaturated, very bright, and she just, you know what I mean, it just kind of took me out of her. But when it comes to the story, once we get past the movie, I generally thought, well, it feels like, you know, we start to get like relics, we start getting like Twilight Sparkles, kind of like the whole, like the stories of the legend of the main six, Twilight and her friends and everything is mentioned quite a lot, and we start getting like you know, the whole Lantern, and Pip starts kind of doing her detective stuff in regards to the magical artifacts, and also, you know, obviously the magic obviously comes back as well, so, you know, everyone gets their magic back as well, you know, all that kind of jazz. And I thought, oh, sweet, so it seems to be going in some sort of direction. And then we finally get past all chapter 1, we get into chapter 2, and it's kind of like a refining thing. I'm going to try not to go too long with this thought, but every chapter seems to do exactly the same thing. It's like a carbon copy start each time a new chapter comes out. And it's something that really does niggle me in the back of my mind as why they do this. I understand that My Little Pony is meant, it's not meant to, you know, My Little Pony animation is an entertainment and everybody can watch it of any age, of course. Just because it's sort of like directed at a certain demographic, which is relatively young children, you know, that doesn't really matter. The fact is, you know, with the Brony and Peggy sisters and the fan base, you know, there is a big divide, a big difference, or you know, a very diverse fan base when it comes to age and all that kind of thing. So, you know, it doesn't really matter how old you are, you can watch it. You know, no one can say otherwise, really. But it's just kind of like, you know, every chapter starts in a similar way. You get literally like about 2 to 3 episodes of each new chapter that is not really story driven. It doesn't really go in a direction. You know, once you get to the end of a chapter, like the latter episodes of those chapters, you know, it seems to kind of start to build up to something. And then you get, like, the next chapter starts, and it seems to kind of take a step back. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but it seems to just take a step back, and then it sounds to go, oh, let's have some fun, let's have a laugh, let's do this, let's do that, and no substance, not that much substance really. And then again, it'll start to pick up on something, and then we'll get chapter 3. So, we get the same again. Then it kicks off again by the end, and then so on and so forth. Now we're at chapter 5. The brand new episodes, chapter 5, and so I'm fully caught up with Make Your Mark, and so yeah, it's just like it. What kind of gets me with it now? I'm not. The thing is, when it comes to the fan base, it's quite a. I wouldn't say it's completely hated in the fan base, Make Your Mark. There is, I mean, I've just been to UK PonyCon this past weekend, which is a My Little Pony convention based in Nottingham, here in the UK, run by fans, and it's a full-on proper MLP celebration of all the generations from Gen 1 right through to Gen 5 and everything else in between. And basically, from what I saw from that, there was quite a lot of appreciation for Make Your Mark. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with Make Your Mark to a degree. I do like some of the characters in there. But it's just, and the world is kind of interesting, like Maytime Bay. But there's something in the back of my mind as if to say, Hasbro don't know. It's almost as if whoever's behind the scenes, who's actually properly kind of planning this thing out, and whoever is fully in charge of like the story division of the writing and so on, it's almost as if they don't know where to go. They went in the right direction with getting a fan artist that was a part of the. They got a fan artist that was a part of the MLP fan base to actually be a character designer for the movie and going forward. So that person actually came up with the character designs for Sunny and all the main characters. So they went in the right direction with trying to approach the fan base with bringing in an artist like that. But when it comes to the actual stories, it's almost as if they don't know where they're going with it to a degree. It's almost as if they have completely they just don't know. I think they had an idea, but it feels that they were building up to something. They were building up to something quite big in regards to like Sonny's father, and then things like the relics that they found, like the lantern and the Twilight's diary, all the different finds that Sonny's father found on his journeys and adventures, all this kind of thing that kind of leads you to the possibility that something's going to happen, something pretty interesting. But that doesn't seem to really happen as much. It seems to kind of like now we're at chapter 5, and it's almost as if some of the earlier stuff that they were trying to set up there is now no longer really mentioned anymore. It's not really mentioned anymore or discussed anymore as much. And so it's almost as if they had a clear plan at one point, and it's almost as if somebody in the creative side of it, writing or somebody quite high up, like an executive, has said, look, it's just not had the pull, it's just not had the, it's just not getting the views as Friendship is Magic as the previous series did. So I generally think they decided to pull the plug around about maybe chapter 2, chapter 3, and finish it at chapter 6. Essentially, we are technically, if you look at it in this way, we are essentially just getting one season of Make Your Mark when it comes to the amount of episodes that are going to be releasing. Technically one season, not even one season. I mean, well, if you add up all the episodes that we've got so far and then add up the episodes we've yet to see happen, now obviously I'm going to have to do an update video to this discussion when we finally get the final episodes, the latter episodes and special, because we are supposed to be getting something that is relating to Starlight possibly. because that is meant to be the title for the final episodes. Is it like Legend of Starlight or something of that degree? I apologize, I might have screwed that up. But you know, this obviously they are trying to work on something. And again, I'm bringing up UK PonyCon again. Is that we had one of the voice acting talent, who she voices Grandma Figgy in the series. So the voice actor for Grandma Figgy, who is Hitch's grandmother in Make Your Mark, she actually, obviously she's under licensing agreement and all this, that and the other. She's under like licensing agreement and NDAs and all that kind of thing. But she kind of alluded to something in regards to what we've yet to see come out in regards to Make Your Mark. And of course, she's already probably voiced, or she's probably already wrapped up when it comes to Make Your Mark, because the vocal side of it happens first, usually with animation. Depending on what kind of animation it is. If it's original animation, usually the voice side of it is probably done when they're in animatic stage, maybe. So they probably might have like storyboard or animatic kind of stage is when usually they might start to do the voicing, or the voicing is done first, usually when it's an original animation. And then obviously if it's like a series from another country, say from Japan or France or whatever, it's dubbed, so the animation is already done, it's completed, and it's literally just lip sync matched in whatever country, you know, they're dubbing it in, a different language. So it's a different method altogether. But with MLP, it's an original animation, so the voicing side of it is usually handled quite early into the production. So they probably have already wrapped up on Make Your Mark, and with what she said part of the Q&A panel, in regards, basically if she was asked a question, I think was something like, in part of the Q&A panel, she was asked a question of basically, what is your favourite, what is your favourite kind of moment from voicing character or being part of Make Your Mark, with voicing your characters, or, you know, that kind of thing, that kind of general question like that, basically. And she basically answered with, or replied with that, you know, what is to come, basically. She said her favourite stuff that she's been a part of, when it comes to voicing in Make Your Mark or G5 and everything, is what is yet to be released. So what is yet to be released, obviously she didn't go into full-on details, again due to NDAs, but yet she kind of alluded to the fact that what is to come in the next coming episodes to finish it off, the main story, is intriguing to me. But at the same time, I'm going to be very neutral to it until those episodes do come out, which is in November. So whether we finally get a perfect dot the I, cross the T sort of situation, and they finally end it on a very, very good note, everything that they've been working towards, everything that's been mentioned, because she also kind of alluded to the fact that all the characters are finally going to go the direction that they were supposed to. It was kind of like a directional thing that she was talking about, which intrigues me. So again, I am a very optimistic person when it comes to anything that I watch, and I will be doing an updated version of this discussion, or we probably might do it part of a live stream instead, when those episodes come out, and we can actually have a proper definitive overall discussion. But I wanted to do this before those episodes come out, of where my head's at the moment with where it is. It's just, I don't have any negativity at all. As you can tell, I'm not raising my voice. I'm not trying to upset anybody that is a fan of Make Your Mark. I do like Make Your Mark. I love Izzy. Izzy's my favourite character from Make Your Mark. how, you know, there is some pretty cool. There's some pretty good characters in there to a degree. The music's fantastic. I love the songs. You know, the music has been really, really good. You know, almost kind of like Daniel Ingram. To a degree, I kind of get a little bit of Daniel Ingram sort of feel when it comes to the music. Not quite, but sort of. So the music side's been relatively quite good. But it's just down to the story. It's just, I feel like they're trying to work towards something, and then they kind of take a step back each time a chapter starts. I understand, you know, when it comes to a story, is that you need a definitive start, middle, and an end. You need a start, a middle, and a conclusion. That's how story works. That's how writing works. And it just doesn't feel like you're getting that middle, and it doesn't feel like you're getting the proper conclusion. It doesn't feel like there's enough runtime, enough episodes being had for a proper conclusion to actually happen. So whatever happens in these upcoming episodes, really, everything lies. To make the idea of Make Your Mark actually being relatively a success, or to actually end it on a positive note rather than a negative note, it all rides on what happens in relation to these next upcoming episodes, because we still have one special, and then there's about 3 or 4 episodes after that. So essentially kind of 5 episodes, I think, or maybe 4. One of them's a special. So one's 45-minute special, and then but it's all been released all at once. So we're getting the special plus the episodes after this. We're getting it all at once, which is essentially going to be chapter 6. But if you add up the episodes, like the episode list, essentially we've only got maybe 1 full episode of Friendship is Magic if you did it in episodic format instead of chapter format, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't like the idea where Netflix have changed it like that to chapters. I don't like that. I know they've done it. It's not just Make Your Mark that they've done it with. There's a few animated series and also some live action stuff as well where they've done it in chapters. Some stuff it makes sense. Say, for example, I know I'm going off on a different tangent with this, it's not pony related, but Avatar The Last Airbender, that is in chapters. That's in, you know, like book 1, book 2, book 3, so on and so forth. Then you've got Legend of Korra, you know. So having it in chapter format with like the amount of episodes, if you release the episode, you know, I can understand it being done in blocks of chapters. I can understand that because that's how the story seems to work better in that sort of format. But with My Little Pony, it's kind of like, you know, like Friendship is Magic, you know, the season, you know, there was only season 3 that was only about 13 episodes, I believe. So that was the shortest season of all of them. But yeah, you know, all the rest of them were at least 20 plus 24, 25 episodes, depending if there was like the latter end. You usually got some, you know, obviously you got like a 2-part start, 2-part beginning special episode, then you got a 2-part ending episode. So there was like 4 episodes that were essentially kind of like a special 2-parters of each of most of the seasons, of all the seasons, to be honest. So you got a pretty good long run time. So they had enough time to have the fun, innocent stuff, but then also finally get there and start to actually get to a certain route with the story, start to develop stuff. You know, they had a pretty decent runtime. That's what I'm trying to say. They had a pretty decent runtime between seasons, in order to kind of get a proper cohesive sort of story that actually made a bit more sense. Even though to some degree Friendship is Magic, they did mess up a little bit when it came to, they tried to kind of start things or set things up and it never actually happened in the end. There was still that issue with Friendship is Magic, even though all around, you know, Friendship is Magic is, majority of the people in the fan base that is their definitive series. for a lot of reasons, not just the story, but for a lot of different reasons. Make Your Mark, I'm not going to go down the divide of it's not, a lot of people don't like it because it's not Friendship is Magic. It's not that series. It's not that quality. It isn't, no. Make Your Mark certainly is not at the same point of quality of, in my opinion, it's not at the same point or quality of Friendship is Magic. It isn't Friendship is Magic. It's its own series. It's Make Your Mark. It's G5. It's a new generation, new characters. I don't have a problem with it not being Friendship is Magic. I like the idea with the fact that it is sort of, it's sort of like it's a continuation of the story. But it's in the future. It's following a different generation of characters. And I like the idea of that. I don't like it where they kind of do too much of the fact where it's a new generation, but yet let's bring back those characters from the previous season. Basically it's a new season. They just update the animation style, but it's still Twilight and her friends, and it don't make any sense because I wouldn't like it if they did that. I wouldn't say I wouldn't like that. Of course, I'd love to see more Twilight, Rainbow Dash, and everybody. I'd love to see more of them. But what I mean is that if you're going to go down a different route, if you're going to do a new generation, it makes sense having a whole new group of characters, a different setting, a different kind of environment. So I don't have a problem with that with Make Your Mark. I like that they're trying to do something a little bit different, but still within the confines or still within that canon reality that it is still part of Friendship is Magic. But yeah, so there's my general thoughts that I've been thinking about with Make Your Mark. It's just, even though we have spoken about Make Your Mark, and I have done stuff I've done videos talking about Make Your Mark that are generally similar to this one, but we're at chapter 5 now, so it's kind of like an updated opinion. So yeah, it's just, I wanted to kind of make a video like this for a while, and seeing as I've got some time to myself since getting back from UK PonyCon, I thought to just get like a little bonus video out for you guys and just see what you guys think in the comments, what your thoughts are. Again, I'm not hating on Friendship is Magic, on Make Your Mark. I'm not hating on Make Your Mark. I'm not. It's just, for me, as somebody that is relatively creative, when it comes to art, I draw a little bit. I'm not a professional, but I understand when it comes to when it comes to shading, when it comes to skin tone, when it comes to kind of like, when it comes to kind of like trying to highlight stuff within certain colour palette and everything, this, that, and the other. That is stuff that I kind of understand to a degree, and I generally felt like early on, I generally think where the animation is now with Make Your Mark, with the main series, not the specials, the main canon episodes, I think the animation has improved a lot. The expressions are there more now. They're not dead. They're not soulless like they were at the beginning a little bit. So they have improved that to a degree. They've really quite improved the animation now with the main episodes or chapters. Yeah. It's just, for me, I just feel that there's too much of this. What kind of really grinds my gears a little bit with it is, it's just like they try to set things up and then they kind of another chapter starts and then it kind of steps back. But one thing I do love is, I do love Misty. I have to mention Misty. I think she's becoming one of my favourite characters for sure in that series now. I think Misty is generally the most better. She's probably had the best redemption arc, next to Friendship is Magic's redemption arc. Misty's redemption arc is fantastic. She was never a bad pony. She was just treated badly. She was mistreated by Overleen. She was badly treated by her, unfairly treated. But that's all she knew. She lost her. She was an orphan at one. She was an orphan when Overleen found her, and she essentially just had no choice but to follow her lead and to do very bad things, like try to steal the baby dragon for the magic and different things like that, and spy on Sunny and her friends, things of that nature. So that's basically what she's been doing. So most of the people watching the series have really quite gravitated towards Misty, and I certainly have, and I know Sam has, my fellow co-host. He has really kind of gravitated towards Misty. To be honest, I think Misty is his favourite character in the series now. When the film, funnily enough, when the film came out, Sam was a big Sunny fan. He loved Sunny. Sunny was his number one. Sunny was his favourite character. Now, where we are at chapter 5, he's no longer. I won't say he does like Sunny still, but his attention has gone to Misty, and now I think Misty is now his number one. My number one is still Izzy. Her infectiousness and her temperament, it's still there. She's not changed much whatsoever compared to the movie, to the series. Her personality and how she comes over is practically the same. So I love Izzy. I just fell in love with her in the movie, and I still love her now. So Izzy's still my number one, but Misty is definitely one of close contender of my second favourite character. Just her redemption arc is fantastic. From mistreated and misguided kind of pony to now she's, spoilers before I go down this road, in case anyone hasn't caught up with Make Your Mark, I apologise, so I've got to say spoilers. But, it's just like where she was at the beginning, when you first meet Misty, to where she is now. She's now friends with, Sunny and everybody. She's now redeemed herself. She's now a whole new pony, new hairstyle to reflect that, and she's got a cutie mark now. She's become a whole new pony. She's become herself, the pony she was always meant to be. She's still kind of like figuring things out, and now obviously, her dad's back into it. She's finally found her dad, her biological father, and everything. So there's all that going into it. So obviously, I think Misty is the best written character in the series. I think generally, they've set out a path for Misty, and they've seen it through. But when it comes to some of the other characters and other storylines that are also like second storylines, of like the legend of the main six and Sunny's father and other things like that, I generally think that stuff's kind of taken a back seat, and they try to kind of go again and it goes back again. That's just how I see it. I don't know if anyone else share my opinion on that, but please by all means comment below and let me know what you think. But that is generally my discussion, where my mindset is with Friendship is Mad, with Make Your Mark, with Make Your Mark, up to chapter 5. But again, we will be making in November, when the 45-minute special, when the special and the last episodes release, once we've actually given those a watch, we will be doing a live stream discussion. That means Make Your Mark is finished. As far as we know, it's concluded, finished. Depending on what exactly happens in those episodes, we will find out. However, I know obviously Tell Your Tale is going to continue to 2024. But again, that is, even though it is relatively like soft canon, because I've been trying to catch up with Tell Your Tale, and I've noticed Tell Your Tale does mention things from the main series, stuff that happens, and also certain situations. So it is relatively still canon, but I would say it is also separate at the same time. It kind of like delves into little things that are from the series, and then it kind of like is its own thing, a totally different energy compared to the main series as well. But I will do a separate video discussion talking about Tell Your Tale once I'm all caught up with it, and obviously there's going to be more episodes in 2024 for that as well. So once I'm all caught up with Tell Your Tale, I will do another discussion about Tell Your Tale, because it's relative. I don't want to kind of confuse the two. But anyway, so thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. By all means, please comment. Don't be shy. Please comment and about what your general thoughts are. But yeah, I'm very much intrigued about the next upcoming episodes for Make Your Mark. We will definitely be coming to you guys with a discussion about those episodes at some point. But thank you for watching. Thank you for the support on the channel. Thank you for your support with the special vlog for UK PonyCon. It was my very first UK PonyCon. My fellow friends Lawrence and Sam, it was their 4th time in a row going, and I finally got to go for the first time along with them, and I had a great time. And I'm very happy that the vlogs, well, part 1, part 2, and part 1, they have done relatively quite well, and quite happy with I'm quite happy with how they seem to have gone down with people. But and also the post thoughts that I did as well alongside with Lawrence and Sam, our post thoughts discussion. But yeah, of UK PonyCon, should have said, to add some context. But yeah, so thank you ever so much for watching. We'll be back with more videos like this soon, and also other stuff, possibly more live streams. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support on the channel. And comment, let me know. Let's have a discussion about things, with what your thoughts are, where your standpoint is with Make Your Mark. Be interesting to have a little chinwag, a little discussion. But thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye for now.